Sunnybrook Hospital was opened in 1948 and serves 1,600 veterans. The chapel was not dedicated until 1950. It looked a lot different at that time. It had pews and choir boxes in the chancel. I came as a wheelchair escort along with 15 other chaps, and when I got here I was a little bit shocked at the condition of the chapel. It looked pretty tired and worn out to me, and I thought maybe our branch could play a role here as well in supporting me, and so that was the start. The first project was the repair of the stained glass windows, which were in very poor condition. Several of the windows were broken from the inside, and they all needed re-leading. We didn't have any money at that time, any funding, but we eventually got a special one-time grant from Veterans Affairs Canada, and that's how we got the job done. The second project was the design and purchase of 40 chairs at a cost of $456 each. Since we had no funding, we sold them as memorial chairs with a personalized citation plate. The new chairs, which you see here, completely outshone the sagging vintage chairs we had inherited. The first window I want to show you is of St. Paul with his message, "Fight the good fight of faith." It's dedicated to the first Canadian soldiers who went into battle in 1914, and they were known as the Originals. The next window is St. Timothy, depicted here in his armor, his helmet, and his sword. Above him are three important symbols. On the left, the Royal Canadian Navy, the Canadian Army, and the Royal Canadian Air Force. This window was dedicated by the United Council of Veterans Associations of Hamilton and District, and it's to the fallen. Above the citation, we see some important World War I symbols. On the left is a lapel pin for King and Empire, services rendered for those who served during the war. On the right is for service at the front for soldiers who actually fought at the front, has the British flag and CEF, which is Canadian Expeditionary Force. In the center is a silver cross, which was given to mothers whose sons had perished in battle. This is an important window. It was donated by the Nursing Sisters of Canada, and of course these were the people who patched up our wounded soldiers and also had to bury them. It's the Canadian Army Medical Corps is featured, the Royal Canadian Navy, the Royal Canadian Air Force, and the Royal Canadian Army Medical Corps. This window was dedicated by the Ontario Command of the Royal Canadian Legion. St. John is seen in the center, and there is largely World War I symbology throughout, including at the top where you can see two of the Legion badges with astride the Canadian Army badge. This beautiful window by the 48th Highlanders of Canada depicts a Highland soldier in full regalia, and the occasion was the visit of Queen Elizabeth in 1984, who was the Colonel-in-Chief of the 48th Highlanders of Canada. This window was donated by the Royal Canadian Army Service Corps, who provided our logistics, our Army logistics in the field, and covers World Wars I and II in Korea. This beautiful window of 3 panes was donated by the Royal Regiment of Canada. The center pane commemorates the Dieppe raid, in which the regiment suffered an enormous number of casualties, one of our worst defeats. Afterwards, they were part of the invasion force in Normandy and fought through Northwest Europe and finished the war in Holland, which is depicted on the right pane. There are only 2 regimental windows in the chapel, the 48th Highlanders of Canada, which we've already seen, and the 7th Toronto Regiment, Royal Canadian Artillery, in which I served for many years. At the bottom of the window, we see the gun badge, which is worn on the beret or other headdress. The badge is surmounted with the crown of the royal monarch, Queen Elizabeth. She is known as the Captain General, a rank dating from the 1500s. The blue and red lightning bolt is a much-used symbol of their artillery. You can see it rising up the window. There are two flaming grenades at the top. These are collar badges. The grenades have 7 flames. I now want to read the citation. To the glory of God, and in proud and honored memory of our fallen gunner comrades, given by the gunners of the Royal Regiment of Canadian Artillery, 7th Toronto Regiment. Within the Veterans Chapel is a small room called the Blessed Sacrament Chapel. People can come here at any time to meditate and pray. The room was refinished in May of 2014, mainly through the efforts of Lieutenant Colonel Robert Dale, who was a Royal Canadian Air Force hero and veteran, and provided the support to make this room what it is today. At the same time, the vets were supporting our chapel renewal with personal donations of their own, and we wanted to involve them and recognize their contributions and sacrifice to Canada. The answer was the memorial plaque, which you see here. It consists of citation plates which are large enough to identify them, and we can record a personal history in 4 or 5 lines, including a family line. I love coming here and meeting the veterans who have done so much for our country. They're getting older now, and they deserve the best that we can offer. We need to show them friendship. We need to notice them and make sure they're never sitting around alone with nobody to converse to. When a veteran enters, he sees a mighty fortress is our God, denoting strength and determination. When he leaves, he sees the Legion prayer at the going down of the sun, and in the morning we will remember them.